82 games down in what was another historic season in the NBA. We had record-breaking performances, legends hitting career milestones, and one of the best MVP races of all time. But none of that matters anymore. The only thing that's on these players' minds now is one thing: an NBA championship. With the playoffs now officially set, we're soon going to see what each team is made of. Regardless of who comes out on top, this year's champion will hold massive weight in some serious basketball discussions. So that brings up the question: what would a title mean for each contender? Well, today I'm here to break it all down. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with the reigning champs, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Taking over the crown would cap off yet another historic season for the franchise. They started the season with a 24-1 record, which is tied for the best 25-game start in NBA history. While they fell off a bit from this original trajectory, they still finished the season at 64-18, officially becoming just the third team to win 64 games in 3 consecutive seasons. Their 64 wins were also a league best, which will grant them home court advantage throughout the entire playoffs. If history is any good indication, the Thunder should be feeling pretty good, as since 1976, roughly 2/3 of all NBA champions have been a 1 seed. A championship for this team would all but usher in the birth of a new dynasty. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is currently the betting favorite to win MVP. Assuming he takes home the award, adding on another chip would put him amongst the rarest of company. He would then join Michael Jordan and LeBron James as the only players to win back-to-back MVPs and championships in consecutive seasons. Additional talent such as Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and AJ Mitchell would add to their already impressive resumes at a young age. We haven't had a repeat champion since the 17-18 Warriors, and the Thunder might just be the team to end that drought. With a league-leading margin of victory of over 11 points per game, the Thunder have seemingly had their way with everyone. That is, unless you're the San Antonio Spurs, who went 4-1 in their 5 matchups against OKC this year. A title for them would give their franchise its 6th Larry O'Brien, tying them with the Chicago Bulls for the 4th most in NBA history. Their 28-win improvement from last year is already mind-blowing in itself, but adding a championship on top of that would truly make this one of the best turnaround stories the game has ever seen. Victor Wembanyama has already proven to be a superstar and is in legitimate debates for best player alive at just 22 years old. Winning a title in his first postseason appearance would put him in rare hierarchy. Assuming he wins Finals MVP, he joined Magic Johnson as the only other player to walk away with the award in their playoff debut. When you add in their other young talent with the likes of Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, and Dylan Harper, a championship would not only be impressive, but unprecedented, especially in the stacked Western Conference. It would indicate this team is arriving way ahead of schedule and was able to climb the NBA mountain after having the second worst record just 3 years ago, potentially kickstarting a dynasty and preventing a new one from taking shape. For a team that's won 12 straight games and took home the title just 3 seasons ago, the Denver Nuggets aren't getting enough love. Despite being riddled with injuries all season long, this team still managed to land the 3 seed in a dominant Western Conference. They still have the best player in the world in Nikola Jokic, and he will be a nightmare matchup for anyone. And a title for him would see him become just the 7th player in league history with 3 MVPs and multiple championships, giving his case for finishing his career as the greatest center of all time a tremendous boost. Not only that, but it would likely officially cement him as the greatest player of the modern era. While many view him in that regard already, a second ring would put a stop to almost any argument against it. For co-star Jamal Murray, a second ring would cap off the best season of his career by far. This year he put up a career-high 25 points per game and landed his first All-Star berth. A second championship would solidify his status as a proven winner. As a team, a finals win would mark their second title in 4 years, erasing any notion that 2023 was a fluke. David Adelman would quickly ascend on the best head coaches list, and their team-building approach would prove successful, as they will have won again through mainly drafting and developing, rather than constantly reshuffling their roster. Considering the Nuggets would likely have to battle through the Wemby Spurs and OKC Thunder just to get to the finals, this championship would go down as one of the toughest the NBA has ever seen. Whether you love them or hate them, the Los Angeles Lakers are the premier franchise of the NBA. Championship number 18 would add to their already luxurious history, and tie them with the Boston Celtics for most by an organization. For Luka, you could argue winning a title would boost his career more than any other player in the league. Despite his dazzling on-the-court performances, he still lacks in the award department compared to other stars his age. Haters are quick to point this out and love to use this angle to downplay his greatness. A ring would all but hush this noise and would turn Doncic from being viewed as just a talented superstar into a certified winner. His 33.5 points per game this year saw him take home the scoring title. A championship would make him just the 7th player in league history to capture both awards in the same year. But what would change the most for him would be the storyline surrounding his name. A year and a half removed from Dallas shipping him off, the drama surrounding his family life, and now overcoming an injury to lead the Lakers to banner 18. To say he would be gaining a massive push for the face of the league would be the understatement of the century. But it wouldn't be just Luka that would be rewriting his story. Head coach JJ Redick, who hasn't been short of media topics either, would be viewed in a whole different light. Ever since the Lakers hired Redick 2 years back, skeptics have been quick to scream out his failures and shortcomings. Coaching this team to the promised land would validate his basketball IQ and set the blueprint for coaches moving forward. He would no longer be seen as a media hire or mere ball analyst, but rather a basketball savant who knows what it takes to be number one. For LeBron, a fifth championship would see him tie other Laker legends in ring count like Kobe Bryant and Magic Johnson. At 41 years old, this feat just might be the most impressive of his entire career, which is insane to think about given all the history he's already accomplished. James is already regarded as one of the two greatest to ever lace him up, and another Larry O'Brien would only strengthen his argument for being number one. And if he does decide to call it quits after this season, he would choose the perfect storybook ending to ride off in the sunset with. After seeing the franchise fall short during the Yao Ming and James Harden eras, a championship would be a return to glory for Houston. Bringing home their first title in 30 years would further add to the team's history while simultaneously validating their aggressive rebuild. For Kevin Durant, there's no doubt that winning this year's finals would work miracles for his legacy. For starters, it would prove that he is capable of leading a team to a championship. While he already is a two-time finals MVP, he did it on arguably the most stacked team of all time. This time around, he would be the undisputed leader of a championship team, and not just a piece of an already historic system. Not to mention, he likely would be knocking off his former team in Oklahoma City in the process, which would make this ring all the more sweeter. Secondly, this would also push him to the top 10 all-time conversations. He has already proved to be one of the game's greatest scorers, as showcased by his 4 scoring titles. With another finals win, he would join Jordan as the only other player with 4 scoring titles and 3 rings to his name. A stat like this would definitely push the case for him being regarded as a top 10 player of all time. Finally, it would redefine the later stretch of his career. Ever since leaving Golden State, KD has spent his time hopping from team to team with very little success. In fact, he hasn't even made it past the second round since tearing his Achilles back in 2019. A championship would all but erase these shortcomings and what-ifs that have defined his last several years. In terms of players like Alperen Sengun and Amen Thompson, their resumes would see a tremendous boost at a young age, providing them championship experience that will carry over once Durant exits. A championship for the Motor City would represent the most dramatic worst-to-first turnaround in NBA history. Just 2 seasons ago, the franchise hit rock bottom with a record 28-game losing streak. Winning a title this year would signal the complete resurrection of a storied franchise. At 60-22, the Pistons became the first team ever to record 60 wins while losing 60 games just 2 seasons prior. Their 4th title would be one of the more impressive we've seen and would completely change the approach to how teams rebuild, establishing the blueprint from going worst to first. Cade Cunningham put the entire league on notice with his breakout season, averaging nearly 24-10 on his way to becoming a top 10 player in the league. Outdueling other superstars such as SGA and Jason Tatum on his way to a title, and Cade would be quickly entering his name into the best player alive conversations. This feat would also rank him among one of the franchise's greatest players, and at just 24 years old, would put him on pace to potentially claiming that number 1 spot when it's all said and done. Jalen Duren, who's been a two-way threat all season, would prove he is capable of being a number 2 on a championship team. While players like Asar Thompson and Isaiah Stewart highlight that defensive tenacity can still affect the game today. In a league that is surrounded by offense, Detroit's toughness would once again prove that defense wins championships. In what was supposed to be a gap year for the Celtics, Boston is right back in the driver's seat to hang banner 19. In the offseason, they moved on from key pieces in Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and Al Horford. A championship would validate Joe Mazzulla's system and the front office's decision to lean into younger, faster rotation. This title would be Boston's 2nd in 3 years and would clear any notion that their 24 finals run was a fluke. A major reason their finals win doesn't get the respect it deserves is because most of their competition was far from full strength. This time around, they'd be the one overcoming the injury bug. Not to mention, they'd be playing against top-tier talent in the likes of teams such as Detroit, New York, and possibly OKC. Jason Tatum would all but have one of the best comeback stories in sports history. The fact he's back on an NBA court less than a year after an Achilles tear is impressive enough. Capping off his return with the championship would be the stuff of legends, and well deserving of its own 30 for 30. Jaylen Brown would cement his legacy in Celtics lore, regardless if he wins Finals MVP or not. During Tatum's absence, he stepped up his game in a major way, proving he can not only be the team's primary ball handler, but overall leader as well. To say that there's a lot at stake these playoffs would be selling it short. There's so much on the line, and I cannot wait to see how it all plays out. So now it's your turn. Let me know who you've got winning the finals and why. Where did I get it right, and where did I go wrong? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thanks for watching as always, and until next time, peace.